Well, welcome everybody again to another Pink Elephant Communications Masterclass. And I'm delighted again to be joined by a good friend of mine and a colleague over the last 20 years, Andy Fell, who's the founder of Gift 631 and shares a lot of my belief about how we change our mindset in challenging circumstances. But Andy, I particularly like the 7-step process you have when you really need to change your thinking, and how appropriate in times like these.
Yes, and Bill, it's absolutely fabulous to be working with you once again. And the process you're referring to, I call it my 7P process. And it really came to me at the time when I was thinking about, I'd done 30 years in financial services, I turned 50, and I decided to take the plunge and set up my own business, Gift 631. And making the decision actually was relatively straightforward, but then I knew I needed some kind of framework to help me transition from, employment, albeit at a very senior level, to running my own business. And I love to journal every single day, and I call it my Mozart time. And I started just capturing a few thoughts around what I believe I needed to do. And before long, it became these 7 Ps. So the first P, and I think this is the absolutely critical step, and all of the other steps hang off this first one, is to get very, very clear about your purpose. Some people refer to it as your why. And the stronger your purpose, it really enables you to get absolute clarity about why you're doing what you're doing. And in the challenging and difficult times, when you have such a strong purpose, it just keeps you on the journey, it keeps you on the road. And I've seen far too many people who just give up a little bit too soon. So the first stage is to get very clear on your purpose. And that really just takes a little bit of time to sit with your thoughts. And for me, I took what's called the Sir Richard Branson test. And Sir Richard Branson talks about you're 90 years old, you're sitting in your rocking chair, and you're looking back on your life. And what do you want to be saying to yourself? You don't want to be saying, if only I'd done this, if only I'd done that, if only I'd done the other. I wish I'd done this, I could have done that, I should have done the other. So that's really the process where I just sat down with my journal and I took that Richard Branson test. And I just said, well, how do I really want to spend the rest of my life? And out of that came a really clear purpose. The next P then is clearly we need to build a plan. And a very, very simple plan, but what am I actually going to do? It will be my customers. And what products am I going to offer those particular customers? How I'm going to price those products? So a very, very basic plan, just to give some structure about how you pivot from where you are to where you want to go. And then I thought, well, actually, I need to go a little bit deeper than that. How about if I spend some time really thinking about the third P, which is problem? So we've got purpose, we've got plan, and then we've got problem. So what problems will I be solving for others? And it could be around self-belief, it could be confidence, it could be presentation skills, it could be communication, it could be leadership, growth and development. So I wanted to get really clear on the problems that I'd be solving for other people. And those really, Bill, are the foundation. That set of 3 Ps was the foundation stone. And then I said to myself, well, what characteristics do I need to bring to life and business on a daily basis that's going to really see me through the early part of my new journey, would see everyone through challenging times as well as really good times. And the first of the second set of Ps is passion. Now, I'm an absolute believer that you have to love what you do and do what you love. And energy translates. And I've always spoken about how people with a player mindset attract other people with the same mindset. Winners go to winners, if you like. And we have to bring that energy to life and business. And we have to, people talk about in sales, they say, people buy people. And I fundamentally disagree with that. People don't buy any type of people. They buy positive, can-do, optimistic, action-orientated people. And that's the energy that we all need to bring to life and business. So that was my 4th P. The 5th P was patience. And in business, I've always operated with speed and with urgency, but I knew I also needed to be patient. That, as I said earlier, Bill, sometimes people just give up on the journey too soon. That, like any form of mastery, it takes time to build a business. It takes time to build your skills. It takes time to create new habits. So that ability to be patient and not panic and not overreact too soon and give up on that purpose. And then the sixth P was perseverance. And I've worked really hard to build a series of winning habits and winning routines that enable me to, first of all, get into the ideal performance state on a daily basis, but then take me back there. So as and when I face into a disappointment, I've got a very, very quick way of changing my state. As you know well, Bill, being self-employed, we can't spend 3 weeks feeling sorry for ourselves. We can't spend 3 minutes feeling sorry for ourselves. So if we get knocked down, we've just got to have techniques and processes and habits and routines to enable us to get back and get on again. So for example, I have a very, very quick process to change my state, which is a big part of how I persevere on this journey. And that is every single day, but particularly when I've had a challenging phone call or a disappointment, I'll rewrite my primary goal. I'll rewrite my chosen affirmation. I'll write down something I'm really proud of that I've achieved in my life. I'll write 2 or 3 things that I'm happy and grateful for. And then I'll watch one of my own 2-minute gift bites. And that literally takes me 3 minutes, and it changes my state back into, a high performance state, a very positive, passionate, can-do, action-orientated state. So that was my second set of 3 Ps, Bill. And then, as we both know, and if you look at the current environment, the current situation, everything can change. And I believe you've got to have that right mindset. And I know you're very passionate about mindset. You're very passionate about self-belief, but you've got to be able to pivot and pivot. So my current mantra is pivot to win. And sometimes I think it's a very, very sensible thing to do, to pivot when things are going well. In circumstances like we're faced at the present time, it's absolutely essential. Now, we've both run very successful face-to-face businesses, but clearly at the moment, that's outside of our circle of influence. So we both needed to pivot to a new environment. So that's very much my 7th P. However well the other 6 Ps are running, there's always the need to spend some time really thinking about, well, what's my next pivot? Sometimes they're fundamental pivots. Sometimes they're just little reshaping and just moving the ship slightly in a different direction. So there you go. So that's the 7 Ps.
It's such an important process, Andy, because I've spoken to many people down the line like this using the internet in the last few weeks. Some, I would say, are drifting where they are, and some are surging. But the ones who are drifting, to me, have failed to get up these ladders of the Ps you talk about. Maybe they've dabbled with something new, but they've failed to give it the persistence and the patience required. We've spoken, and as a company, we've spoken amongst ourselves recently about done being better than perfect, just starting down a road, just making a different offering, making different approaches. And what I've found speaking to clients just now, where you'd think their business is frozen and they're unable to do any trading, is from having these 3 or 4 really good conversations where we're just offering advice and helping them, you see a small opportunity. And from the small opportunity comes business, and from business comes enterprise. So would you advise people, even if their business plan is imperfect just now, to, if you like, avoid that 8th P of perfect and just go for done rather than perfect?
Absolutely. And one of my mantras from my days in financial services was decide what you're going to do, commit to doing it, make sure there's a high level of commitment, and then go. Decide, commit, go. And once I've gone, then I'll work it out. If I haven't made if the first step isn't a perfect step, then I can adjust, I can adapt, I can pivot, to go back to that word. But the gap between committing and going needs to be very, very small. And I find for so many people, Bill, it's just way too wide, and people over procrastinate and overthink while somebody else seizes the day and takes the opportunity.
Well, it's a great 7-step plan, Andy. And if it ultimately leads to us pivoting in our business and seeking the new opportunities, finding the gap and going for it, then it's highly worthwhile. In the meantime, thank you very much for your time. Great to share your wisdom, and we'll speak again soon.
Thank you.